The man, the myth, the legend, Jacob Tuttle, back in action. What's
Back
up,
in
big
action.
guns?
Not much. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, dude. How you been, bro?
Really good. Things have been really good. I've got a new job, new stuff
Right.
going personally. Everything's getting really good.
I love to hear that. I love to hear that. We're gonna jump into it, but this is long overdue. I think I left a comment on one of your posts a while ago, like months ago, and I've been itching to talk to you about it. And it was something to the extent of buy into the law of attraction. And I think instantly you were like, bro, I did a whole college paper on this. So like that's the first thing I want to hit you with is
Yeah.
talk to me about that paper. Like what was the premise? And dude, like yeah, just like let's roll it out.
Yeah, dude, there were a couple things like right when you said it, this was something I was obsessed with for a long time, so I knew that we were going to come back and talk about this at some point. So
Hell yeah.
it was a couple different reasons that I actually dove into it in the first place. And when I was in college, I took a class called The Philosophy of Happiness, which I
Oh,
thought was a joke. Like I'm like this might be a free class. And it ended up being one of my favorite classes I ever took because we were
sweet.
going through all of the different philosophers that have some different versions of what happiness means. And in that class, we started to dive into the law of attraction and what it means to put your energy towards a certain concept or a certain idea or a certain set of values, that as you start pouring your energy into that, you will start seeing the things come back to you that you're putting out there. And it intrigued me because as someone who's always looking into personal development or looking into like what can we do to make our lives better in each individual facet of life, this sounded like a philosophy that I could adhere to. So I wrote a 10-page paper. I called it The Mindfulness of Metaphysics. And what I actually did is I did some research into metaphysics, and
Okay.
that there's actually like a scientific understanding that sometimes the way you think will neurologically change the way that your body reacts. And I thought it was very interesting that, as a very basic example, if you tell yourself 20 times over, like, I'm not sick, your brain will start to believe it. And you actually can change
Oh,
the feeling
dang.
that you have and you can feel less sick. I was so obsessed with this concept because it got me thinking. And that's what the other half of the paper was about, was if we can take the philosophies of happiness and pursuit and religious belief and all these things combined with the idea that what you put out and what you truly believe in your brain and in your heart can reap a genuine result,
Yeah.
we can genuinely shape our lives to be whatever we want them to be.
Dude, that is, I'm so happy that we're talking about this. Have you read? So, how I found out about the law of attraction was remember that book that came out, The Secret? And I
Yeah.
feel like,
Who's that one by?
gosh, I have no idea. But it was like, dude, it was a viral and it was kind of my first introduction. I did read The Secret and I like the metaphysics parts that you just talked about. My takeaway from like The Secret and theory of law of attraction was like outbound energy and like actual vibes and wavelengths that you're putting out, or like even just have like telling yourself like, man, in 6 months, I want to be in this position, and putting that out there into the universe and allowing that type of energy to kind of reciprocate and react to what your ambitions are. I guess I didn't think about it in a sense like the metaphysics sense where like you could literally fool your brain neurologically if you were sick, or like, man, I just stubbed my toe, but dude, I have to head to the gym right now. Like, no pain, no gain, put it past you. That's crazy. Like
Yeah,
that's so
it's a
crazy.
mix. It's a physiological response and mental willpower that everybody knows. It's a mix between, tough it out, buddy, rub some dirt on it, mixed
Yeah.
with you can actually change the way you feel. I don't know if have you heard of Wim Hof?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the Wim Hof breathing method, which it's not really as much you like changing your brain and telling yourself to be calm or telling yourself to change, but when you engage in a meditative state and a meditative behavior while also engaging in the physiological exercise of the breathing, Wim Hof
Yeah.
was able to raise his blood and internal temperature while submerged in like whatever it was, -40-degree ice. And they did that as a scientific experiment. So that was kind of part of what I was looking into with the paper. And that's just ridiculous. But it's
That's
like that's
crazy.
physiological, but it's how am I going to set my mental frame for how things need to shift and move? That's a very extreme physical example, but that's the case in anything. I think that's
Oh,
how
for sure.
you can
Well,
wake up
dude,
and set your precedent
that
for the whole day.
that Wim Hof breathing exercise, that's like what I listen to like a lot of Joe Rogan, and he obviously loves the ice bath. And that's one of the things he preaches all the time is like, dude, the way that you can do 3 minutes, 5 minutes in one of those ice tubs is really controlled and tempered breathing and just like highlighting that focus. And it's crazy because it really can change your like your brain and your neural waves to be like, wow, I'm miserable, to oh, okay, maybe I can do this, to like, dude, 100%, I got this.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Have you read Think and Grow Rich?
Of course, man,
I
of
figured.
course.
So the portion of that, he talks about money in Think and Grow Rich and the desire to accumulate wealth. But really, when you get into the weeds of that book, I think he's talking about the desire to reach into this infinite resource that he describes as the
Yeah,
infinite energy source that you can tap into once you have your heart set on a very specific desire, a very
yeah.
specific point, a very specific goal and vision that you can actually visualize for your life. And I'm a man of God, so I'm a full believer in that side of it, where I'll
Oh, for
take the
sure.
analogy. Infinite resource, God, one set point. For me, that's all the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's I'm gonna set my desire and set my vision and set my goals, and I'm gonna root it towards this infinite resource. And that's how you can build the things that you want in your life. And I think that's where it's like law of attraction combined with God, combined with infinite resource.
Yeah.
That's where I think that comes into
No,
play.
dude, I think that you're spot on. It's crazy. It's crazy how much control that we have, especially in like these mental exercises, that you don't even realize the extent of the control and how you can literally change things in your life, or like going back to your first, like even physical ailments. My thing is fun. And look, for anybody listening, we're obviously not doctors, but one of
No.
my favorite things to think about is placebo effect, right? Like, I think that placebo effect with respect to the mental exercise that your brain is doing is there is something to it. Like, it does change, if I had a cough and I took an aspirin rather than cough medicine, but I'm telling myself, like, yo, this is going to make me feel better. I think using that kind of same understanding, even though it would be a placebo, nothing is supporting a cough, it could make my cough feel better just because I'm putting that out there. Like, what do you think? So I want to ask, what do you think that placebo is a part of some of that law of attraction, or do you think that it follows the same laws of the law of attraction where because you're essentially a placebo is I'm doing this because I think that it's going to create this for me, whether that's scientifically proven or not, but still I'm putting that positive energy out there towards an endpoint or an ambition that I have. Like, what do you think about the placebo effect?
I think our reality is what we believe in. I 100% think that's the case because
Dang,
what
that's a
you
mic
believe
drop
in
comment.
and what
Yeah.
you have faith in is going to be what drives every action of your life. And I think actions are what actually define who you are. It's
Yeah.
not what you say, it's not anything like that. So in terms of like a placebo effect, I think anything that you put your full faith in and your full desire to achieve and then do the actions that actually make up that faith will be what you experience in your life. Like I've
I'm behind
experienced
that.
that myself in so many different ways, and I 100% think that's the truth. So even if whatever I say I believe, someone else doesn't agree with, it does not matter because
Yeah.
it is real to me, and I experience it every day in my life, and I experience it in those around me, and I
That's
think
awesome.
that's actually just how it goes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm super behind that as well. I believe in the law of attraction. I got a million different instances in my life where I can like it's more than coincidental or ironic. And that's what really presses your brain where you're like, man, did I just put this into the world? And maybe it's a consistent like across the last 6 months I've been thinking about this. Then you find that window where you're like, dude, there is no way that this blessing, this opportunity is in front of me out of thin air like that after I've been putting my like effort and focus. It's just wild. So,
Yeah, and I won't push the specific belief, obviously, but for me, that's just power of prayer. Because for me, it's when you sit in a meditative state in silence and you
oh,
put
for sure.
put your desire, you put your, it's not me actually going to be in control. I'm going to give that control to God, but I'm going to put my desire of what I want to be doing and what actions I need to do to get there. And that's going to be the focus. I think you can see anything come to your
No,
life.
100%, 100%. And like, look, like I would call myself more spiritual than religious. And honestly, I think I always went to church growing up, but I think what really tipped it for me to go more into spirituality rather than like heavy on the good book is I went to a private Catholic high school and it was like, yo, mass every week. Once a week, you had to go into the confessional. Bless me, Father, for I've sinned in the last 7 days. This is all the terrible crap that I've done. And I saw people in my high school making a joke out of it. I wasn't like making a joke out of it, but they really just like boom, boom, boom into me. And
Yeah.
so once I got out of that environment, I was like, hey, I walked away with a couple of really dope tools and beliefs that I want to carry for the rest of my life. And ultimately, I think my takeaway was that as long as you have a belief in something that is rooted in good, rooted in being a better person, and you have kind of an understanding that there's a higher trajectory, you know, call it a god, call it Allah. Like there's a million different gods. And, as long as you have that to lean into, so to speak, you're on the right path, baby. You're for sure
Yep.
on the right path. So
100%.
I dig
Without going
that.
into the weeds of it, I was the complete opposite. I did not grow up religious,
Mm.
but I got obsessed with the law of attraction and I got obsessed with personal development. And it,
Oh,
it opens at least the horizon of possibility of there is something higher. There is something that we can put our energy towards that is
yeah.
outside of us and that is an upward aiming trajectory, which I read a lot of psychology and philosophy books as well. And that's actually the definition of happiness and love
Yeah.
is self-sacrifice in pursuit of a higher overall, pursuit in your life.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
like call
started
it
it
a
started for
higher
me as
power or a higher,
yeah,
yeah,
it
something
started
to,
as the law of attraction and then progressed into a full-fledged religious belief that I
yeah.
now stand by.
No, that's awesome, man. I love
Yeah.
to hear that, dude. All right, let's segue. Let's go hard
Yeah.
segue. And this is a fun segue because fun story, and this is a fun story to get into the segue, is my wife's grandma is super religious, super duper, like big guns. And one day we posted on Facebook that we had took the girls to Harry Potter World because I'm a massive Harry Potter fan. I know you are as well. We're going to get into it. But her comment was like, Chris, Melissa, like, bless your hearts. Like, you are opening up the spirit of the devil. Don't you understand that witches and this whole wizarding world preaches satanic mindset and like really, and you know what? Good for her. I know that, maybe not in New Testament, but Old Testament, yeah, there was a ton of like, hey, you know what? Some of the witch magic stuff, that's probably a sign of some satanic type of belief. But I just think not, I think that it was funny. I would never tell her that it was funny, but she definitely was not fond of us going to see the Hogwarts castle. And so, how about that for a segue into
Yeah,
Harry
that's
Potter
wild.
fan?
I don't think that's what Harry Potter was written about.
No, I don't either. I don't either. So, dude, let's get into it.
Yeah.
What house are you?
Oh man. Well, we're talking about some of those official tests online. Growing up, I was Gryffindor,
Okay.
but I think it's because I was biasly answering it, knowing I wanted Gryffindor,
Me too.
as every kid does.
Yeah, me too.
So as I've grown up and matured, I realized that I'm definitely a Ravenclaw.
Yes, dude, I was gonna say, if you said anything other than Ravenclaw, I was gonna say, nah, bro, look, you in
Yeah.
the green robe for sure.
Yep.
I know what mine is. What do you think that mine is?
I would say Hufflepuff or Gryffindor.
No question. I'm
So
no
yeah, definitely
question a
Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff, dude. And in fact, when going back to that trip, I did the wand thing
Oh
and
yeah?
they put the thing on my head and it could spit out any house and your boy got Hufflepuff. And so I was
Yeah,
like, all
so it's
right,
official. It's
talk
official.
about law of attraction and motion. Are you kidding? I was
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
it out there. We just went full circle, bro. What do you think about, have you seen this HBO series that they're trying to make, like redoing
Yeah,
all
I
the books?
have. I'm not sure how I feel about it because
Yeah.
a lot of the times I think movies and books they mess it up, like bringing books into the movies. I think Harry Potter did really well. Besides, like
Yeah.
the end of Deathly Hallows Part 2,
I know.
where they completely butchered it, everything
Yeah.
else I think they nailed it. So
Oh, I
I would
loved
hate
it.
for them to ruin it with a new show because that can happen when they
Yeah,
try
oh,
to
for
remake
sure.
stuff.
For sure,
So
man. And it's just like, dude, you and I, especially when that first one came out, like we grew up with Dan Radcliffe and Emma Watson and Rupert Grint. Like,
yeah,
even when I see them in different movies, I'm like, yo, that's Ron Weasley.
yeah,
Like, that's
100%.
Hermione Grint. Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing to me? You know what I mean?
I'm watching Now
Um,
You See Me Too. I'm like, Harry Potter is a gang
yeah.
lord now? Like, what's happening here?
Dude, so funny. So yeah, I think, look, so that's my con side is it's like, man, don't try and rewrite this beautiful memory that I have because I read all the books multiple times and then now I get to start seeing like some of these things that I only imagined in my mind. Like Harry Potter, the movie series, I think did a phenomenal job of capturing that magic, pun or no pun intended. And so I'm scared for
Yeah.
what a new version of that might look like. But on the flip side is, especially after Prisoner of Azkaban, there was a lot more adult themed type of content. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think obviously the movies skipped over some of those parts. And my understanding is this new HBO is really going to lean into like, yo, this is not a kids' TV show. This is going to be a higher teen, like mid adult, like we're going to give you the story that wasn't told. And so from that perspective, I don't know, it sounds
That could
pretty
be good.
cool, dude. It
But
sounds pretty
that's what I
cool.
love. That's what I love so much about the Harry Potter story is like you see the first couple movies and it seems really cheery and happy and look,
Yeah,
he got saved from his terrible life. Here's this opportunity. And then just the burden of you need to save
bro.
the whole world flips on Harry's head and he's just a kid who from movie 3 on
Yeah,
has to just shoulder the weight of the world
for
in
sure.
pretty much a constant battle of do I completely give up on myself and on everybody, or do I take it all on and just go for it? And he always goes for it, but it's actually so dark if you
Yeah.
really understand like what he's going through in that hero's journey. That's why I like it so much. Like
No, for
it's
sure. For sure. I'm this
yeah.
side. There's just so many, not to overuse the word magical components, but there was just so many like the hero's journey. I think you put it perfectly. It was such a like, man, we're fighting for you. And I think that like going back to the movies or even the books, like, bro, I first started reading it before Goblet of Fire came out. And so that anticipation of the next book is coming out and really like growing with the character. I don't think I've ever had an experience like that ever in my life
Yeah,
where,
that's unique. That's
yeah, you know
definitely a
what I
unique
mean?
experience.
Maybe with but when Star Wars came out, like all the movies were already out. So you just kind of binged all of them and go, oh, okay, I know the Skywalkers. This is dope. But I was like so embedded and along for the ride with every new year. It was just the best. So,
Yeah, I grew up with it and I've read the books like at least all the way through once
mhm,
every, 2 years.
yeah,
Like I just go back and do it. And I think for me cuz like I mentioned before, I'm a huge philosophy and like psychology nerd.
yeah,
That definition of love that I gave, I think is so picture perfect in Harry Potter where it's like self-sacrifice
man.
in the pointing into a higher aim for life all
Yes.
was rooted in like his mom sacrificing for him, which literally
Always,
saved his
baby.
life
Oh,
and allowed him to then go and destroy evil as a concept.
yeah.
Insane. Like
No, dude,
that's
it's
so
just
true.
insane, bro. It's insane.
People
Gosh, I
who hate
love it.
on it have never watched it. I'm
No,
convinced that,
yeah, you haven't
or never
watched
read the
it.
books.
For sure. Well, I mean, and I know many who have watched the movies, love the movies, and watch them over and over. But dude, starting that journey with the actual literature, like J.K. Rowling, I know that she's hot and cold with whatever her political views are today. I could not care less. She is
In one
like,
ear and out the other.
yeah, dude,
It is
she
an
is.
author of a novel that I enjoyed.
Yeah, dude, no, she like just unbelievable, bro. I roll with Harry Potter. And you know what? Even in my indifference with the HBO series, I'm for sure watching
You
it.
know I'm
Like when it
watching it.
comes up, bro, are you like,
Yeah,
say
of
less? Are
course.
you
Of
kidding me?
course.
So that's funny. But anyways, man, I know we're both getting the workday started. I'm sure you got to get out of here, but super happy that we were able to connect and jump on for a little bit and excited to see we Me and Jacob got some really big ideas for mutual connections. So we had a little business convo in the lobby before we hopped in, and excited to take you guys along for the ride with us, man. We're
Very
making it
excited.
happen.
And we'll have more conversations like this.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be business. It doesn't have to
No.
be LinkedIn politics. It can
Yeah.
be law of attraction, religious beliefs, and Harry Potter.
But I mean, the silly thing is that, look, going back to like the law of, and then I'll kick you out of here. We'll book it out of here. Even that law of attraction conversation, so much of that mindset resonates and translates over to what we do in the corporate world.
It
So
has to. It
I think
has
that's
to.
my favorite thing about mutual connections is there's unintentional value in just us hanging out and just say, "Hey, how's your day, bro? Like, what are you up to?" And I think that's the coolest unintended thing, a result that we get from these type of things. So,
Because for me, it's just life. It's not what can
yeah,
I say that is, gonna appease the business people on LinkedIn, or what can I say that's gonna appease like my family and my friends. It's here's life. Here's
yeah,
what I'm doing in life. And those concepts we talked about, it's not for business. It's not for personal. Like this
right.
just is life. And you
No, it
have to
is.
keep
And
those
look,
philosophies everywhere you go.
especially with like weird LinkedIn and the direction of some of the new content that a lot of influencers are posting on LinkedIn, the one forever takeaway is people like working with people. And there's nothing more human and authentic and genuine than getting to like take off the suit and tie, scrap the sales pitch, and just be able to like talk about how dope Harry Potter is for 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
well, my man, great to see you. Have a hell of a day. We're both about to step into the office and kick today's butt. And so let's get after it, big guns.
Let's get after it.
I'll see you on the other side,
See you,
man.
brother.
All right. Peace.
Peace.